and welcome to the Desi Hustle, a podcast that delves deep into the authentic stories of people navigating their personal and professional journeys. Today, I'm so thrilled to welcome our first male guest, Dapoon, who is not just my school senior, but also a multifaceted artist whose story talks about the creative spirit and resilience that defines our community. Dapoon is a character animator who has built an impressive career spanning animation, film direction, animatics, editing, and storyboarding. His passion for storytelling through cartoons has been a constant thread throughout his life, whether expressed through animation or comics. What makes him unique is his experimental approach to his craft, fearlessly exploring all the mediums. But his journey wasn't always clear cut. Like many in our community, our surroundings, Dapun first walked the conventional path of engineering before finding his true calling in animation. Today, we'll explore this transformation and the challenges that he faced while following his creative dreams. We'll discuss how the intensity of his professional commitment left little room for his personal life until the pandemic forced him to take a pause. In this episode, we'll unpack the complexities of choosing an unconventional career in the Indian context, dealing with self doubt, finding courage to pursue one's passion, and breaking free from societal expectations. Dapun's story is not just about animation, it's also about embracing uncertainty and finding fulfillment in the creative process. Join us as we explore how one's journey reflects the evolving narrative of creative professionalisms in India. Join us as we explore how Dapun's journey reflects the evolving nature of creative professionals in India and what it truly means to build a life around your passion. Welcome, Dapun.
Hey, thanks, Tamanna. Thank you for having me.
We'll just start off with first question first.
hmm
Uh, what is your earliest memory of being captivated by animation? Like, do you remember a specific cartoon or a moment that sparked your interest?
Yeah, sorry about my voice. I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm gonna sound like this. But first of all, thank you again, like for having me, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. Like I was almost teary-eyed. No, my first, I was always interested in cartoons, like as every child would. They would always start drawing and everything. I think my parents, my dad especially, taught me how to draw an elephant, and from then on, it just basically snowballed into a never dying interest. Uh, I was definitely interested in cartoons. Sundays I would lock myself up in a room where other kids would go and play. I'll just lock myself up in a room and I would just draw an entire, a Disney figurine or figure or something. I'll copy it from a pencil box or anywhere wherever I see a Disney. I was so fascinated by Disney basically. That was my first inspiration. And then one day when I was in class six, I was starting to think like, what am I going to be when I grow up? So the usual answers like, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer or a government officer. I was surrounded by those kind of discussions. But one day I just saw this animation, the making of an animated movie on TV. It was a show on Doordarshan, I think, called Disney Hour. So they showed the
Okay.
animation. Yeah, so they showed the making of an animated movie, and that was like, wow, now I can finally connect to something in life. I could finally, that really called out to me and I said, this is who I am. So it just spoke to me on a very different level. I was so charged up that, I finally found something that was relatable. I mean, I couldn't believe that people actually, got paid to draw. So I was like, wow, you get paid to do this? You can make a career out of this? I didn't know that. So I was so charged up. Then I immediately, after the making, after the program was over, I immediately went to my room and I started animating my first animation. I just drew a character and I like just started to see it move like the flip book sort of a thing. I was very, like enamored by it, and I was like, this is what I want to do. So from then onwards, I didn't never look back.
That's interesting. I mean, when I was in class six, I don't even remember what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, same here. But when that came up, it just, I don't know, it was like I saw heaven or something. Like, it was like an epiphany of epiphanies. Like, what is this thing? Like he drew something and then he just flipped the page and the drawing moved. I was like, wow, like that just blew my mind. I still have that memory, so I still remember that moment so vividly because like it was such a defining moment of my life.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So, you studied engineering before pursuing animations. If you can recall, what your those early days were like, balancing what was expected of you versus what you actually wanted to do.
Yeah. So, like I was a kid, grew up in the 90s, and that even back then, and that too in Assam, a place like Assam, which had absolutely no idea what animation was back then. Like people would generally confuse it with lamination, you know, like I
Are you
want to
serious?
work in lamination, no, like no animation, and what is it? Like you move cartoons, that's like people had no idea what that was and didn't even think that this could even be a viable career option. So even though I found my calling way early in my life, I just harbored that thought. I kept manifesting it, but obviously, like reality hit, and everybody around me, including my dad, was like, no, no, you have to do this. You have to. I didn't do engineering, by the way. I did BSc honors in
Yeah.
electronics in Delhi University. So I was pushed towards that. Some people even discouraged me to draw. Like when they would see me drawing, they'd be like, "Why are you drawing? Why are you wasting pages?" So I kind of started feeling very bad about what I did. I felt very guilty. I felt very small about like liking something like this. Like what kind of a person am I? Why do I like this? Why don't I like careers like doctor or engineer? Why don't I like all that? Why don't I like reading about IS officers and all that? I never found them fascinating. Like all respect to them, but I never found them relatable basically. On to, and So I would feel very bad about liking something. I would feel very small about myself that I don't know why I chose, why I'm like this. I don't know. Like, so I was pretty much a misfit back then. And because I was the eldest in the house, amongst all my cousins. So I was pretty much a bad example for everyone. So, I thought that I was a very bad example because I was supposed to inspire them, but I am ending up liking something that nobody approves. So what kind of a person am I? What kind of a boy am I? But so yeah, so that started discouraging me a lot, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'm not meant to do this. I'll just go the conventional way. And I think, in a way, I thank people who pushed me to go the conventional way because it did nothing but strengthen my love for animation. It reconfirmed my belief that I have to get into animation because this is not at all who I am. Like I tried my best, but this is not who I am. Another good thing that happened was because I went to study BSc in Delhi, so I came out of Assam. Now I met people who actually started saying like animation is a good career choice. Like why are you saying no to it? So I actually found people accepting my decision as a good decision. I was like, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so all that I heard all my life was a lie. Like so then I started hearing stories of people who have become graphic designers, graphic art, because in back in Assam, I would be told these very scary stories that if you want to become an artist, if you want to become an animator, an artist basically, then you'll only end up painting signboards or painting. You'll only end up painting like road signs, or you become an art teacher. No disrespect to any of these people, but the way they would say it, they would make it sound very scary, and obviously I'd be scared. Like oh, I'm like they would like literally, not literally, like it would paint a very sad picture. But when I went to Delhi, I met people who were designers, who were graphic designers, who were also like learning animation, and they seemed pretty chill and they seemed pretty cool. And a lot of people were even earning really well. So I'm like, then why not? So yeah, I tried a lot. I flunked twice in my electronics. I tried really hard. I was like, I am going to finish this no matter what, but I just couldn't. I couldn't. Like every time I would uh, try to study one topic, and then when I try to memorize it, I'll forget it the moment I read another topic. I was like, this is not who I am at all. Yeah. So that re-strengthened my love for animation, and it made me come back to animation with a bang, like with a harder conviction.
You did tell us right now that the moments which led you to believing in yourself that yes, you should go back to animation. But how did you really convince yourself? Because you had self doubts. uh, you went to study BSc because of the pressure, and being the idol elder brother. So, like, when did you realize that no, it's not making you happy, when you're doing things to make others happy?
I mean, when you fail twice, it isn't a bigger sign. You fail twice and like I can't do this. No, so I really tried because I was actually doing good, doing well in school. In my uh, 11th and 12th when I took up science, I was actually one of the brightest students in class. Uh, but when I went to study BSc electronics, electronics was the wrongest subject I could have chosen because it was the all those semiconductors, all those resistance,
Right.
diodes. It's just not for me. I just don't understand any of it. So that's what it started really affecting my confidence because I was doing well in school. What happened to me now? Like I study a topic, I just don't understand it. Even the professors were like very callous about the way they teach. They wouldn't they didn't care if we understood or not. They would just come, say a few words, write a few formulae, and just go away. I'm like, yeah, what? I don't understand any of that. And so it was an alien culture. For the first time, I was outside of Delhi, outside of Assam. Sorry, for the first time, I'm in another city. I'm in a new college, new people, new subject, new place to stay. So everything was alien and
Right.
very uninviting, to be honest. It was very unwelcoming for me. Everything else, like I have friends in Delhi and also they're all amazing people, but for the first few years, they were like, I felt so not at home, you know. So that was that. These were signs, like it's not just not for me. Like it pushed me to a level where I had to put my foot down and say I cannot do this anymore. Like when you flunk once, it was a matter of shame, obviously. Then I tried to again, what do you call that? I tried to redo the course again. Like I did the entire course myself again. I had to appear again. Then I passed for the I went to the second year. Second year, I gave an exam. I failed again. So like I can't do this I can't do this every time. I won't. I don't want to finish this in 6 years. A 3 year course. So the second time I failed, I was not even. I was pretty much convinced by then. I was like, this is not for me at all. In fact, I would remember I would go to watch an animated movie on the day of the exam. I'm like, this is just not for me. I'm just so convinced that this is not for me. Because I had met a couple of people by then who have told me that animation is a good career choice. So why aren't you going there? And I had the knack for it. I could draw well. I had the knack to tell stories in an engaging way. So like people would read my whatever comics I would make back then. They found it engaging enough. And I'm like, why am I not doing this? So yeah, that was a much like a very harder, a very like convincing sign that you need to leave this field and just find your space.
Did you have a tough conversation with your family then? क्या पढ़ने गए
Ma-
थे एनिमेटर बन गए?
Yeah, well, I did have that conversation with my dad. My mom, on the other hand, was very supportive. She was like, "Please, jao, isko karne do animation. If he wants to do animation, just let him go for that. Don't force him because he wasted 3 years of his life, and like I don't want him to see him wasting more." So my dad also was supportive, but he was just being a little cautious. He wanted me to uh, get my degrees, secured. एक इस yeah, and then do whatever you want to do. Like ये कर लो, फिर जो मर्जी करो ऐसा. So at least if that doesn't work, you'll have something to fall back on.
Right.
So that I understand his concern because he comes from that. era where all this is all very important, conventional, tarika बहुत important है. But when it came to me, I was too convinced that I cannot do this. One more year I do this, I'll probably run away or something. I'll run to the forest or something. Like I will not be able to do this. Sannyas le lunga मैं. So I became very depressed. I remember I would come back home and plus I would stay in a room which was very tiny, and I would stay in a place where nobody was allowed. So I had no friends also. So it was a very lonely, depressing time for me.
I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yeah. But after I flunked the second time, I had to really like put my foot down in front of dad and say, "Ki, Papa, I am going into animation. I cannot do this. I'm sorry." Like, but I right now you are probably disappointed in me, but I'll make you proud one day.
When you moved from the traditional career and getting into animation, did you face imposter syndrome like early in your career, or say when you moved, because you already went into animation with self doubts? Did you also suffer from imposter syndrome there?
Absolutely. Every second of the day. I mean, first of all, when I after I was done with electronics, I thought I need to have a change of scene. So I moved to Bangalore. Uh, Yeah, I moved to Bangalore because a lot of my friends were saying like animation schools are there in Bangalore, it's pretty good. I was supposed to go to Mumbai as well. Mumbai and Bangalore were the two options, but Mumbai there was like devastating floods back then, like 2005, very bad. So the moment I went to Bangalore, when I went to the animation school and everything, I saw all these animation desks. I saw all cartoons everywhere. I was like, wow! Immediately you feel at home. I felt at home, right? And like, wow, this is who I am. But again, this is a new city, a new region, south region of India. Again, new people, new place to stay. At this time, I was doing it all on my own. Like
Correct.
so far, I had my dad's protection and everything, but this time, dad said, "Okay, you do it your way." So that was extremely daunting to actually, take a step without outside of his shadow. So I had to step out of it, and I had to like tell myself each time that it's okay, and plus I had the baggage of being a failure in electronics, so that itself was like a very embarrassing thing to say back home, like, Dapoon, what happened? I'm like, nothing, I'm just here. I finished my electronics. And oh yeah, right, you did. Like that sort of a thing. So it was already a little embarrassing that way. So I had all those baggages. I sort of had a point to prove. I need to really shine in this field now. Otherwise, this is my second chance. If I mess up here, I've messed up for good. So although it was daunting, but there was also something exciting about the field itself. The fact that now you have to draw. That's it. You have to come for 2 hours, draw, go home, and practice drawing. I'm like, okay, I can do that. For the first time, I felt like there's something I could do. So that felt nice. But every time I would see all of my classmates around me, they had come from these, like they've had these fine art degrees. They have come from all these animation. They've come from family of painters, of artists. So there I felt I need to like fake it till I make it. So I cannot tell these people that I don't know how to draw, you know. So I don't know how to draw in the sense like as good as them,
Um,
basically. Right. So I would have to keep at it. I remember even if I was supposed to be in the institute, it was an animation school, a diploma course I was doing. I was supposed to be there just for 2 hours, but I remember I would stay back till the end, till the institute closed for the day. Yeah, because I would just keep practicing. I had to do that. So it was like a conscious decision, and also not because I had to prove a point. It's because I was just interested. I
Yet.
yeah, I saw a lot of reference materials. I saw all these animation books. I was so inspired by it. Again, I saw a book for that was basically on the making of Disney movies. So again, my Disney fascination started. Which yeah. So I was like, wow, this was a much more detailed. They would actually like basically go into a lot of detail about the process of how they would make a movie, how they would animate the character, how they would design a character, and all of that would just fascinate me so much that I ended up buying that book. Yeah, so so that inspired me to stay up late all the way till say 8 o'clock at night because that's when the institute would close for the day. So yeah, so that's how I had to like pick myself up basically, from where I was. And slowly, as my work started getting appreciation, not just amongst the students, but also from the faculty members, from the teachers, from the mentors, I started feeling, I started getting more confidence. Then that's when slowly, uh, I started feeling better about my decision. That what I have thought, I've done. Well, this is a good decision I've taken. That's what I felt. And from then on, I'm just thankful that, the universe has given me a lot of good opportunities, because I just told myself, this is one chance you have, you have to make it. You have to make a name for yourself. So yeah, so thankfully I went from strength to strength, like touch wood. And now it's been like what, 20 years in animation, ever since I first started studying animation.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And speaking of long time, you actually spent, like you said, 12 years on making a movie.
Yes, yes, yes.
Walk us through that and also, like tell me and everybody else who's going to be watching this, how did you keep yourself motivated for 12 years to
Hmm.
work on a single project?
Okay, so before that, I'll just back up a little and I'll just
Yes.
talk about how I got this job. So I was studying animation. I studied animation for 3 years in Bangalore, and then uh, the moment I graduated, basically from my animation, I got a diploma. Basically, I completed my course. I got to know it was 2009, and I got to know that there was a huge recession happening,
Right.
so no jobs anywhere. So that was a huge bummer for me. Like it was my chance to finally get a job and tell my dad, ki, hey, I'm working. I finally got a job, and then suddenly the recession hits, and then I'm like, okay, no employment anywhere. So out of desperation, what I did was I did make a mistake. Yes, I thought that I would take up a job in illustrations, which is drawing, which is
Right.
a little away from animation. So it's not advisable to do that at the beginning of your career, because once you pick up something else, then you just keep going that direction.
Right.
So you do not come back to what you were meant to do. Uh, so I took up a job in illustration, and I went and I had to move to Delhi for that. The job was in Delhi, so I went to Delhi, and I think the universe just tells me that this is not who you are meant to be. So it just put a stop to that. So in just a month's time, yeah. So it was a really bad accident. So I was cycling to work, and from what I heard is like I don't want to, like, if you want you can like bleep out the details, but there was a water tanker that ran over my legs. Yeah. So it was a horrible accident. So everything I worked for all these years, it just came to a halt, and there was nothing I could do. Like, I was just bedridden for 1.5 years, actually. So the entirety of 2010, I was on bed rest.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So obviously it was a long time, and there was no job. I didn't get a job or anything. So I just started like animating on my own, just little clips I would make, just to keep myself busy.
Right.
And thankfully, that also like took my mind off of the accident and everything, and that actually helped me get better also. you know that's also true. And on the side, it also helped me build a portfolio,
Right.
which I was not aware of. That I was just basically just animate something and put it on social media, and people would appreciate it, and they'd be like, wow, awesome, man, you're doing this on your bed rest. I'm like, that's so amazing you know so
True.
yeah, so once I put out my demo reel, it's called a demo reel, right, where you put all your portfolio. Once I put up my portfolio, basically, so people got very, they were very impressed. Like, this guy on his bed, he did this. We need to get him a job. Like, so one of my very senior uh, uh, animators, she's a very good friend of mine. Her name is Rekha Thorat. she saw my work and she immediately, like recommended me to the studio called Vaibhav Studios in Mumbai, which is still doing amazing work. And she said that Vaibhav is working on a huge project. Why don't you go and help him out? So I was like, well, yeah, why not? I love Vaibhav's work. I mean, even you must have seen Vaibhav, like all the Simpu Singh ads he used to do. Boys, खड़े हो जाओ, हाथ ऊपर कर खड़े हो जाओ, all that, all that is him. So I was obviously very interested in working with him. So that required me to move to Mumbai. I went to Mumbai on a walker. I remember.
I remember videos.
Yes, I went to work with him on a walker, and from the walker it went to the stick, and then I lost the stick, and then basically I recovered really well, during that time. So this project he was working on was a film, which was which was his dream project. Basically, he always wanted to make this film, uh, and I always wanted to make a good Indian film. That was my one of my dreams as well. Like I wanted to, give India a high quality animation film, which unfortunately like hasn't happened as of now. And so our dreams matched, and he thought that I was a good fit for the team. So I joined, and yeah, it was another struggle though because you know to make a film itself is a huge task. So but this film had to be self-funded because like he was trying really hard to find producers, but he couldn't. But he was really determined that he is going to make this film no matter what. So what we would do is we would work on the film, pause the film, then to make money we would work on all these commercials, or all these promos and everything. So we made a lot of them. We had a lot of fun doing the promos and everything. So we made the Nickelodeon bumpers. There was one we made which went viral. It's called the Idli song.
I remember that.
The Idli song, and then I got a chance to direct, two or three commercials, two or three promos, Nickelodeon Idents. One was the very famous samosa rap that I did. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It was a very, I learned how to like oversee a project, not just as an animator, but also like an overall, like an eagle eye view of the project. Like, okay, sound design, lighting, how the animation would be, how the characters would look like, all these things, I had to, me and another colleague, of course, Ajita here, we both co-directed it. Then I got my very own two of my two items I got to direct all on my own. They were Nickelodeon Skater Boy and Nickelodeon Train. So so I had a lot of fun. So it was a very rich, enriching experience. A learning experience for me. My learning curve really like hit the roof during those times. And so when we would work on these commercials, the movie work would pause, which was why it took a long time.
Time.
We were just a handful of us, and we were trying to make money, and then whatever money we would make, we would burst into the film. We spend on the film, then make the film for a few more footages, then again we'd exhaust our funds, again make money. Then it would be an on and off process. So if you look at the film, it actually just took around 4 years. If you really think about it, if you do not count the pauses, uh, but because of the commercials, it took a longer time. But yeah, it now that the movie is done, I had a lot of fun making the movie. So the trailer is out, so yeah, I just hope that it gets picked up really soon, and it gets a release, finds a release very soon.
Did your motivation waver when you were like doing
Yeah,
on and off
so
movie?
yeah, so the thing about Webber's projects is that it's a lot of fun. Like whatever he does, it's like for the first time, uh, when he was making working on this project, which is a movie. It's called Return of the Jungle. So the voice acting is so natural and so colloquial, like the way we would talk with our friends and our family members. So उससे क्या होता है कि you also start to act like that. तो उससे it's very relatable basically.
Right.
So you're very excited to work on it. So because it's like I'm animating my own mom, I'm animating my own dad, I'm animating my own aunt, uncle, ऐसा. तो ऐसा मैंने कभी नहीं किया मैंने लाइफ में. तो it was very क्या बोलते हैं उसको, nostalgic also because his the movie has a very nostalgic feel to it. Like it remind you of your childhood, of your school days and all that. So because of all that, it was exciting to work on it. And then there is this jungle stories, where animal stories, which are extremely entertaining. Like they are like there's a fox that keeps howling all the time. Then there's a story of four friends, deer, एक rat है, एक कौवा है, एक tortoise है. So all of that, it's all your Panchatantra tales, which are told in a very like Vaibhavized way. So that's what I loved about it. And because I also got to learn a lot during the commercials, during the items, like I said, so it just helped me keep that artistic streak alive the whole time. Yes, there were difficult times, a lot. There were like times when I would get so frustrated. I think I took off for at least 1.5 months. I took a sabbatical. I was like, Vaibhav, I need to leave. So I need to take a break. So he understood. He was like, okay, fine, take a break. So then I went to Goa. I'd worked on some other projects, and then I came back refreshed. So happened. There were like very tough times also, like when you like it's just going on forever and ever, but then you hold on to it. You think of the movie as a whole, and how it will be received by the public, how it will be received by the audiences. So that's what keeps you going, really. Yeah.
So, as we've always seen in the traditional Indian setup, probably you would have also been told to, like sort of man up to this or push through. So has that affected your relationship with mental health, being in a demanding creative field?
Hmm. Well, had this been electronics, I would definitely have been very mentally exhausted, and I would have had a very bad mental health. Yeah. But because it's animation, in fact, mm, I'll tell you what, I did get this pressure, long back, when I was just starting out, and like I have to now provide and everything, all that. I'm the man of the family, so society labels a man as the provider, you
Right.
know. So that pressure was there, but thankfully my parents have been very supportive, and like I've never had to really take on that pressure. I will definitely say I'm privileged that way. Uh, Thankfully, I've never had to take on that pressure too much. And also because I took up a field, which is animation, which is something I really loved. Um, I think it did wonders to my mental health, actually. I mean, there have been like frustrating times, but there's never been a time where I felt like, you know what, I made a mistake coming to this field. Never been a time like that. Um, so I actually, you know what, I did have a therapist in the middle. I started taking therapy, but that was for some other reason, not because I was like pressurized into like earning and all that. But and the therapist told me that animation is what's keeping you sane. But when I was starting out, yes, I had the pressure because, like I said, I had the baggage of being a failure and all that. Like people's judgmental eyes, the judgmental way of looking at you, questioning you, and all that. So it would also be embarrassing for my parents to, explain why their son is not doing engineering anymore or BSc anymore. So that was when the pressure really was at its peak. Yeah,
Right.
so I had to really like come up with not answers, but I had to really come up with uh, the solution. Like, how do I, solve this? How do I fix this? Like, I'm going to animation. Will I really make it there? I had this question several times. So, like, will I make it? Will I will I be accepted in the industry? Will I be a good animator in the end? So yeah.
And today you've made it. You worked on some big projects. I mean, you have your own name on IMDb site. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Did you have a surreal, like pinch me moment? Arey, ye kaise ho gaya? Like, how did I end up with this?
Yeah. That happened. Like, I mean, recently, why? In fact, when I think 2 years ago, Alia Bhatt approached Vaibhav basically, and she wanted a logo done for her production house. It's called Eternal Sunshine. So Vaibhav said that, Dapur, why don't you take this up? So there was an intern who was doing the groundwork, and I said, okay, I will take it up, and I will. And she did a very good work. The intern, she did very well. Whatever the groundwork उन्होंने किया, that was very promising. I said, okay, I will take this up. तो वो करते करते then I was like, I got to meet Alia also, like ऐसे phone पे, like we were all discussing the project, and I was like wondering, okay, this is Alia Bhatt I'm talking to, like, okay, and I'm working on a project right now, like, wow, okay, and I'm animating a cat, you know,
The
and
cat
drawing,
story.
yeah, a
Son.
drawing a cat and all that. It's like so much fun, like is this real? ऐसा हो गया मेरे साथ, like, am I really doing this? So, and I'm doing it from home. I started working from home after Corona, after COVID hit. So I had the most one of the best projects was working on that logo. I had the most fun time doing that because it was just relaxing too. It was just a very relaxing project for me. I love doing 2D animation, so it was 2D. It was all 2D animation, not 3D animation. So all the more like more reason for me to fun love. Uh, and in fact, after it had a very quick turnaround as well. The movie There was a movie called Darlings that she released right after, and this logo just went up. So it just started showing everywhere. So then when we said that we did the logo, my cousin who stayed just next to me, she said that, Dapunda, you did this? Like, this happened right next to me, like this logo, like everybody's talking about, like, yeah, I did this, and yeah, so that was surreal for me.
So that is when people started believing, अच्छा दापुन सिर्फ बच्चों के लिए कार्टून्स नहीं बनाता, he makes something else as well.
Yeah, I mean that's when I think yeah, I felt very blessed to be like in this field, like, wow, I did something that people really liked, enjoyed, and I think uh, I think अभी recently जिगरा में भी वो अभी हुआ था. It came up again, and I was tempted to share it again. I shared it, and then people again started like celebrating it and said, "Ki wow, Dapun, amazing." So obviously it's a teamwork. It's not just me, but yeah, because I was a part of the project, but I had a lot of fun. I took it up and I had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah.
You've had your glam moment, of designing the logo. So now when you go to watch movies, being an animator, has it ruined the movies for you now?
No, no. I mean, if you talk about just the craft, the animation craft, no. But if you talk about storytelling, then I think yes. I I become very critical about storytelling. Like, I need the stories to land. Uh, I need the stories to be told in a way that I enjoy. A lot of times now I feel it's too rushed here, it's too rushed there. This didn't feel right. Like, if the storytelling is goes well, then I don't even think of. I don't even. I don't even. I just watch it like an audience. Like there are a lot of stories where my wife, she just catches it, okay, I think he's the killer, whereas I don't even know that. I'm just watching it like an audience. I'm just getting swept by whatever is shown to me. Yeah, so like, if there is a problem in the storytelling itself, then that really irks me. I'm like, अरे ये कुछ ज्यादा ही जल्दी हो गया, that sort of a thing. Yeah, ये इसको थोड़ा टाइम देना चाहिए था. I think there, I don't know if it's called ruining the experience, or this is how like anybody feels, or it's just me. So I think for me, I feel like definitely I view it, if it just doesn't work for me, then it doesn't work for me, even as an audience, like that.
Yes, that's interesting. If you could create, say, an animated short movie about your life, uh, you know, How would it look like? What characters would it have? What voice would it have?
I've done a couple of little clips about on my life. You can check them out on my socials. There is a clip where I was. This is actually a true thing that happened where I was helping my dad reverse his car, and it made a sound tick 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 tick. That sort of a sound it made, you know. So I just recorded it because I felt that sound it could be funny, So then I animated it where I'm like again helping my dad reverse the car, and I started dancing to that tick 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 thing, and then I just crashed the car, and the car just crashes because I just forget to tell my dad, okay, keep coming. Yeah, so that was one, and there was another one where I wanted to talk about uh, wearing masks during Corona, during COVID. So I played it like The Mask itself, which is one of my favorite movies ever. So I would wear the mask and then I turn into that green mask character. So yeah, so these were some fun clips that I did on featuring myself. Yeah, I'm working on one right now, so this is going to take some time.
Interesting. So, Dapun, you've mentioned this, and I'm pretty sure people who know you or follow you on your socials also know that you literally did not have a personal life until lockdown happened. Looking back, do you think that intensity where you were working, like just putting yourself into work, was that necessary for your growth, or would you do it differently? Like, or like how lockdown changed your perspective on work-life balance, and like if what realizations you had because you were at home and doing things differently then.
Yes, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, like कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना कि you don't realize
क्या
कैसा
हो रहा
चल रहा है life. Like you're too close to the painting, or you're too close to the tree to see the entire forest. ऐसा होता है ना.
है?
So I was too close to the tree. Before lockdown, I was in Mumbai. I would go to go to work, come back home, go to work, come back home. That was my life. मुझे लगा यही करना है लाइफ में, ठीक है. And I spent like a good 9 years doing that, you know.
Right.
So I would like go back home. It would be almost like 10, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10. So just खाना खा के सो जाओ. वही है, So it it would leave no time for me to socialize or anything. Beach पे when I went to Goa, that's when I realized that I've really missed out on a lot, because there we would get off at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. You know, काम खत्म. So then everybody else would be like, let's go here, let's go there, let's do this, let's play. I didn't even know how to play क्या बोलते हैं उसको? What is this called? Snooker. What is it called? Billiards. I didn't even know how to play that. Like मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता था. Like I just knew animation. That's it. So for all it's worth, like I enjoyed doing animation and everything. But when I went to Goa, I realized that there is more to life than just animating. But I did. I definitely took up like a few things in Mumbai as well. Ki I started cycling a lot. You know,
Right.
I started cycling. I started taking up music classes. तो ये सब मैं करने लग गया था. But for some reason, like socially, like this leisure thing, like how you just go chill, and then you have these little. Even I didn't know how to cook also. मुझे cooking तक नहीं आता था. ऐसा था हाल मेरा. So after lockdown happened, after I moved back home, suddenly that working from home gave me a lot of freedom basically, because now I don't have to. I can just log out and disconnect, finished. you know I can log out and I'm done. you know so that will give me a lot of free time. I learned how to cook during the lockdown. Then I also met artists in Guwahati, because I moved back to Guwahati. I met artists in Guwahati who were like amazing artists, and they also like were very happy to have me in town, and they have a collective called Guwahati Art Project. So that was it's called Gap. So it's basically meant to bridge the gap between artists in
Right.
Guwahati, or even like in the country. Uh, so so I collaborated with them. I did a few events with them. I went out with them. I had fun partying. So I had a great work-life balance. So this also helped me, तो इतने साल क्या हो रहा था कि I did not even have time to like to find someone for me, you know, like so because of this, because I could find time for myself. So I could actually also uh, it was also time for me to like find someone for me, I guess, or maybe it just happened naturally. I don't know, but I did end up finding, my wife, and then once I decided that no, she's the one, and then I just popped the question, and then we got married. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and now that again the world is opening up, so now I've now joined a new company where there is good work-life balance and all that. So I think like everything happened in its own time. Like when I
Right.
had to like really put all my work and everything, I did that, and now I'm reaping the rewards of it, I guess. So, so now the work-life balance thing has come. So now my life is balanced out so far. So those were my like, I could say like sort of my hustle years. And now I'm a little relaxed. I'm like, okay, now I'm married. Now now I have a good work-life balance. Now let's see how things go in the future. But for now, like it's going better, in a better direction, in a good direction.
How do you think the definition of success differs between, say, our parents' generation and ours?
Okay, so very what is a deep question पूछ लिया. See, so success का क्या है कि like I for me personally, success का definition has changed throughout the years. Like ऐसा था कि if I like बचपन में ऐसा था कि if I do an animation, a good animation, people say wow, wow, wow. An assignment basically. If I do an assignment, then I'm successful. Like ऐसा था. Because that was success for me because that would give me confidence and make me build myself. But through the years, I think it has changed from that to being a good uh, like what do you call that, a responsible employee, where I bring in some good work, and then that helps the studio or the office, the company to grow. So that was also a success for me. And because when I directed the three projects, they won awards and everything, and it got a lot of recognition. So that became success for me.
Right.
uh, uh, Now I feel, now that I've grown, even now I've become a team leader in the new company. So my job is to like successfully lead the team, be there for them, and like make sure that work gets delivered on time, and that's success for me now. So it has changed over the years. And as far as money is concerned, I believe that if you do good work, no, money will come. Like you don't have to define it by just money chahiye. But definitely money becomes very, very important at one point of time. Uh, but if you invest all your learning years in good work, that investment will rewards later on. Yeah, later on it'll all be fruitful, and you'll get good job offers and all that because they know you're good. So वो money तो is like it'll come if you do good work. So वो आमिर खान बोलता ना कि सक्सेस के पीछे भागो, सॉरी, एक्सीलेंस के पीछे भागो, सक्सेस पीछे तुम्हारे
के पीछे.
पीछे आएगी. हाँ. झक मार के पीछे आएगी.
True,
But
true.
touch wood though, I don't want to like jinx anything. Just touch wood. Yeah.
If you had to give like one piece of advice to, especially to young men, I'm going to keep it specific, who are
Hmm.
afraid to tell their parents, about their dreams and passions and what they really want to do, like what would you tell them?
So you have to find your courage. You have to find your again, like if I quote Amir Khan again from Three Idiots, वो बोलता है कि देख यार, आज तूने अगर हिम्मत नहीं की ना, तो 10 साल बाद तू रोएगा कि मेरे पास हाथ में लेटर था, गाड़ी खड़ी थी, लेकिन मैं नहीं जा पाया, बस मैं इतने से हिम्मत नहीं कर पाया. तो you have to find that moment of courage because that really will define the rest of your life. You make one wrong decision, and like I made one wrong decision of taking up electronics. 3 साल भी मैं झेल नहीं पाया उसको.
Right.
Like forget the rest of your life. 3 साल भी झेल नहीं पाया. So and the sad thing is people do that. Men, if you talk about men also, like men do that. They have to keep at it now. अभी ये decision ले लिया, I cannot back out now. ऐसा बोल के they just keep going and they take up a job they don't like. They do things they don't like. So basically, this is turned into a very depressed, frustrated, individual. Like I've seen so many people, so many men who are just frustrated with their jobs. They don't like their jobs. They don't like what they're doing. They don't like. They just want to like get out of this whole, matrix. So if we had just showed that one moment of courage and just been selfish, you know, it's okay to be selfish sometimes because you know what you're doing later, will be fruitful and it'll come back. Because मेरे साथ भी वही हुआ ना, because my mom, dad, my dad especially was utterly disappointed in me. Like, like, because my dad was like a science genius,
Right.
a mathematical genius and all that. And मैं 3 साल भी नहीं टिक पाया, उसमें तो क्या करेगा तू, that sort of a thing. So although he was encouraging, but he was definitely there was a tinge of disappointment in him. So I had to tell myself कि no, I'll turn this around and I will ये सब बाद में all this will bear fruit, definitely will bear fruit. So thankfully it has, but obviously you have to like work hard. There is no substitute for that. Once you've chosen your line, you have to work hard. You have to work hard, you have to work smart, you have to like do everything it takes to fulfill that dream into a reality. So find your moment of courage. Be selfish. It's okay to be selfish, because ultimately you're doing yourself a service. It's like again, it's the concept of self-love where you give yourself an upper hand and say that this is what I want to do. Of course, if it has to be a good line. I mean, it should be like I want to be a terrorist and all. So ऐसा वो नहीं. Passionately मुझे terrorist बनना है ऐसा नहीं. Like something that is something a job that is like respectable and is a good career line basically. तो अब आजकल तो कितना खुल गया है आजकल. You can become a YouTuber and earn money, you know. Yeah, you can be a vlogger and earn money. So social media has opened a barrage of career options for people. So yeah, so अभी तो there should be any excuse actually कि like कि मैं ये नहीं कर पाऊंगा because ये नहीं है ना. You have a phone in your hand, you can just shoot a video and make money out of it. So yeah, but I'm simplifying it right now, but that you have to find that moment of courage that this is what I want to do in life. And from then on, like अभी बहुत तो मुझे बोलते कि दपन भैया मुझे ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है, क्या करो पहले. I'm like एक चीज करो जो सबसे पहले करना है. जब सबसे ज्यादा करना है तुम्हें, the thing that you like the most, do that first, go for that, and then you will eventually get to everything else. Like मेरा क्या था कि I love animation, I love drawing, I love singing as well, I love cycling, skateboarding, ये सब. Now I do everything. So so you eventually get, but you have to find that first thing. अभी यही सोच के बैठा रहो कि ये करो, ये करो, ये करो, ये करो, ऐसा 10 साल निकल जाएगा. And you'll be like कुछ भी नहीं कर पाया. तो एटलीस्ट एक starting point पकड़ो and then go for it, and then eventually you'll start doing the other things as well. Yeah.
It was. And, I mean, just coming back to the last question, what advice would you give a younger Dapun?
I think I'll definitely give an advice to the teenage Dapun that now you're confused. Now you are like frustrated, confused about your career and everything. But it gets better. Just be patient. Just तुम बस अपने conviction पे just stay with your conviction that this is what you want to do. So don't give up easily. तो मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ. But that's all I will say. But having said that, I will say I think the way things turned out for me, like I wanted to do this, but I got shoved into this. That, like I said, it actually brought me back harder.
Right.
टू एनिमेशन की मतलब अब नाउ अब तो एकदम क्लियर हो गया कि यही ये करना ही नहीं, यही करना है मुझे। नो एकदम इट इट आई थिंक इट ब्रॉट एक जिद डाल दिया मेरे अंदर कि लाइक अब तो करना ही करना है, लाइक अब तो व्हाटएवर हैपेंस आई हैव टू डू दिस। सो या I'll tell myself that like it gets better. It gets better. Just be yourself.
That's nice. Thank you so much, Dapun, for
Thank you.
agreeing to do this, for sharing your story, for, sharing how you dealt with self-doubt, uncertainty, finding fulfillment, finding success, doing, and building your life around your passion. I think it's really, and for people, who are seeing you from outside, at least you look to be happy. I mean, you look to be, very satisfied with what you're doing.
Yeah, touch wood again. Like the universe has been very kind to me.
Fine.
So yeah,
Thank you so much for doing this.
thank
I'm
you.
sure at least there'll be lots of young men and boys, who'll be inspired by your story and find their moment of courage, as you said.
Thank you so much, and thank you for doing this. Actually, it's very helpful for us and for everybody around. Like when you find all these inspiring stories. I saw your podcast and they were so inspiring, all of them. Like so, I'm so thankful that you've chosen me as your first male guest.
I'm
I'm
so
very
you agreed to do this.
I feel so privileged again. So thank you again. Thank you, Samanna. It was great.
Thank you.